Good morning, everybody. Eric Mashinsky. It's 11:17 Chicago time on the 12th of September, 2024. Brief update for those of you that are paying attention still to the gold and silver mining arena, and the gold prices today flying again and looking like gold wants to go higher. Up $35 right now, 25.45. Do you understand the margins? Um, that fall to the bottom line, like these next few quarters, there's just no doubt in my mind with gold above 2,500, the profitability of the majors and the producers is going to be very robust. That will lead to even further higher prices coming into the best season of the year for mining stocks into January. You're also going to have, most likely, I think, a paradox going on where a lot of the juniors that have not moved or haven't done anything could be the targets of some tax laws selling indiscriminately as we go into October and November. I'll be picking away at those, when the time comes. But right now, I think, my strategy is you want to be topping up any of the uh, more advanced deals, producers, but intermediate stage that are growing, special situations on the call it the beyond exploration and into development stage type of deals that could be bought out in the earlier part of this bull cycle by some of the majors that are going to be looking to beef up their pipeline of projects. We're going to see a lot of M&A over the next 12 months in the gold and silver space. We also want to pay attention to the special situations in the exploration area because there's just some really incredible stuff out there. And what I'm zeroing in on today, I'll just make a few particular comments about Phenom, this Metalis that I've been talking about. I'm going to give you guys a premium pick that we've been buying now for almost a year. And that's Fokus Mining. FKM is the symbol in Canada at 4.5 cents, and FKMCF, which is at 3.3 cents in the US. I own three, what is it? 1.5. Yeah, I own about 3.7 million shares of this with 1.5 million warrants. So about just less than 3% of the company that I've accumulated. And the stock is at my average. I'm even slightly down a little bit in my US account. I'm down 15% on paper. Not worried about it at all. Let me just throw this out there with this deal for those of you that are looking for bargains. Focus has, under the prices that scale up, they've got a very substantial asset of gold in Quebec. There's no doubt in my mind, even though the next phase of what they're going to do is going to actually bring some of the historical numbers and the updated 43-101 numbers into formality, they have 3 million plus ounces of gold in Quebec. And you can buy an ounce of gold in the ground in Quebec through Fokus Mining for $1.25, $1.25 an ounce with their current valuation. Now, in situ valued isn't always like the big thing to look at, but it's a big metric that I do when you look at exploration companies. There's no way that this thing, as they're growing, because this looks like with proper spending and everything else, you're going to have a 4 or 5 million ounce project in Quebec. This is very attractive at 3 million ounces plus for a buyer. And I think the people that have stepped in the interim basis, and some of the directors that have been buying a lot of stock in the open market, by the way, the CEO stepped aside. He was getting to retirement age and laid out a scenario where this thing is just so cheap. To me, it's a call option on the gold miners that, there's enough of us that have stakes and interest and are pregnant enough in this company. We're not going to let it go down. So at that point, you look at the upside. Well, $1.25, let's say it's $1.50 fully diluted per ounce of gold in the ground. What does a metric of that look like when they update everything in the next 6 to 12 months? And you've got an official 3 to 3.5 million ounce deposit that's growing over a gram in Quebec. It's not open pit, but I was talking to the main director who's been buying a lot of stock yesterday, who's making some things happen for this company and positioning it well. Um, you know, 20, 25, $30 an ounce is reasonable in a divestiture situation. So even on the low end of that, you're looking at over 10 times the multiple of the company right here. And I believe that that is very realistic. So if you want to swing a bat and get a new pick, this is one of them. It's just one of these smaller ones that, I really like it here. And premium members, we've been a little frustrated. It's taken time. There's been a lot of stock turnover, and the CEO leaving and everything else. But now it's ready to tighten up, and I think it's going higher. We've seen big volume coming in. My people that are out there that want to grab a little bit under 6 cents Canadian, 4.5 on the US side, 4.4 or something like that. I think it's a great buy. Metalis, we have on a little pullback, which I was hoping for because this thing is at risk of just exploding. We're waiting on pending assays from grab sampling and soil sampling in the gold and silver category at the Greyhound project, which has me jacked up just for their antimony potential that we saw those grades come back between, 0.5% and 4%, versus their neighbor, Perpetua, which had $300 million added to their market cap just in the days following the Chinese announcement that they're limiting exports of antimony, which is a necessity for war. And it's a big problem for the United States, which has also stepped up and offered Perpetua, which has the stibnite mine, 5 million ounces of gold. And I don't remember the amount of antimony, but the grade is 0.06 grams. It's very low compared to what Greyhound seems to have laying around the surface. That's incredible. 300 million in value just on the antimony news. I know that the underlying value, because this thing's like a $700-800 million company at this point, is the 5 million gold ounces. But I've seen the activity of the move on the antimony news alone. And that's why I love Metalis, because this thing is trading for let me just check real quick. Metalis right now is at 17.5 cents. So you're back under a 10 million, 9 million US market cap, which is just incredible. Keep an eye on Metalis. If we get a little bit more of a pullback, this is great. This is perfect. So we've seen this thing jack up on big volume the last week and a half, 2 weeks. It went up from like 13 to 22. It's pulled back to 17.5 on very light volume the last couple of days. That's exactly what you want to see. So if any of you jumped in because you were interested before and you just kind of got in and you maybe have top picked it or something, don't be discouraged. This is a gift. Anything that pulls back here is a gift. It could go back to like 16 cents, possibly. I mean, this is one just to sock some away. If it gets anywhere below that, our elite members will probably buy all of it. So just so you know, I would encourage it. This thing's got huge potential, guys. We've made money on Metalis back in 2017, found the stock around a quarter, and it went to $2.80 in a couple of months. This story for them is different, the drivers, but the scenario is potentially very powerful. I'm going to give you some ideas on the producers and the majors and the mid tiers that I like a lot. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with buying some I-80 around $1 up to $1.10 US IAUX. That play has underperformed quite a bit, but has a very solid foundation. Equinox Gold, run by Ross Beatty, has been an underperformer, but they've absorbed a lot of dilution to buy the majority or the whole operating mine that's driving their growth. And a lot of that has been baked into the cake already and digested. So I think Equinox could move back into an outperformer along with McEwen Mining. So McEwen Mining does have like a downtrend. I'm not going to show my screens and stuff today. I'm going to talk to you verbally. But the trend chart on the daily, it does have a cap. So it's got to break through that cap for a breakout, which I'll look at it right now. I'll tell you, generally speaking, I'm looking at US dollars. That's going to be somewhere around 10, somewhere around $10. It's at 943. When it goes through 10 and a half US, this thing is going to likely be on its first implication of a move into the high teens US. So, keep that in mind. It's in a downward channel, correction channel since, April. So if it doesn't get over that cap, I would just be a little cautious as we get into the 10 and a half area. US, you want to see it break that chart. You can just draw a line down on the top of the channel. So if it continues to consolidate, we might have another buying opportunity a bit lower, but I don't know. I mean, gold is doing what it's doing, and McEwen Mining has some substantial assets they aren't not getting any value yet because of their Los Azules. I mean, they're doing another raise. That thing's a unicorn. It's basically valued at $1 billion at this point. McEwen Mining owns 47% of it still, I believe, officially, which means that Los Azules isn't even being valued fully into the ownership mechanism of McEwen Mining. So then they have several mines of gold producing, I don't know, what is it, 125 to 150,000 ounces a year. Costs are under control. Rob owns a ton of, projects around the world that they don't even focus on or talk about. It's a gem. Then lastly, I'm just going to mention on Phenom, I'll keep this brief, but, the whole point of the name Phenom, with this company is it's got to be like a superstar to work out. It can't just like go up a bit and then we're all going to be happy. This thing needs to pop. The deal needs to work in a sense that big shit needs to happen. And I think it is happening. And it's about to blow open in a number of ways. We just saw the King Solomon project, the release of the historic drill results. And this is another asset that they acquired that is just very, very interesting. I'm looking at this table of between 16 meters and 80 meters of everything from 0.78 to 0.98 grams, and a lot of intercepts that we have with this information. Yeah, just like they said in the last release, if you haven't seen it, like Dobbin news, go look at that again. This is enormous. These are enormous discovery plays on the Carlin Trend. And they said in the last press release, like Dobbin, with its recent news of its significant open-ended 900 meter times 220 meter gold in soil anomaly, the King Solomon project covers a regional scale Carlin type gold system. Okay. There's a lot of news coming, I think, that's going to continue because they're hard at work. I know that the group was out in the field again at Dobbin yesterday all day. They've been working the field at King Solomon. They already hired, besides Paul Colley and Dave Matheson, who is the one that we're leaning on. He's a mine finder, a legendary one in Nevada. They had a third geologist that's been working for Phenom for months, doing a lot of the field work. Then we have probably a fourth geologist that's coming on board because these are massive projects. We have Crescent Valley that's permitted for drilling. That's going to be one that we're going to hear about shortly, I would imagine, as well. The deep Carlin drilling, that's expensive, that we drilled 17 holes on, that could change everything, but also can drain your bank account. That's on pause because we've got these other three projects that are world-class Nevada gold exploration projects. I think that the activity here, the discoveries, the richness, the size of these assets, and the forward motion could take Phenom Resources much, much higher steadily. And there are some things that I've been waiting. We've been waiting on some blockbuster type of breakthroughs, perhaps on the vanadium side, on the processing side of the business. And I just feel like it's just a matter of time, guys. And it's taken a while since my excitement started in that area, but all of a sudden things could just change like that because, these guys have been working very hard on multiple fronts. And I just don't, I can't get into too much more than that right now, but like, I really don't know of a more intriguing, sexy, powerful junior mining story in total in the entire world when you stack it up against Phenom Resources. What is going to be spun out into Phenom Gold, Phenom Vanadium, and the Vanadium story, guys, don't sleep on Vanadium. I really encourage you. The stuff that we're finding with the biggest companies in the world in the mining business, they are zeroing in on Vanadium while the price is very low. And they are in desire of locking up Vanadium supply. This is the first time that I've seen this in years, the aggressiveness of interest from majors around Vanadium. And now with, Phenom has a tech play angled to all this on their patents that you can read through and see where this could come to fruition with some big partners. It would make sense depending on what are they getting out of like tests and costs and things of that nature. And we're going to hear about, I believe, all of that. It's just very, 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 very interesting stuff. And Vanadium will have its day in the sun. Imagine when that happens. We've had a stock that's, hung in there during a period where vanadium prices, over the last few years, basically 2.5 years, have gone from 12 to 4.5 a pound. So vanadium is still suppressed, but the signs that I'm seeing out there, vanadium is going to take off again. It's just a question of like, there's a lot of, in many cases, you never hear me talk about manipulation or this or that. The Chinese control the vanadium spot markets, and them and the Russians, which is a big problem for the US also, along with the antimony. And we're going to see government funds coming towards this. We're seeing major corporate interest in securing vanadium. And it is the we know this, preeminent source of industrial scale clean battery metals. And nobody's been talking about it. That's what I love about this whole situation. When the spotlight comes back on, there won't be any plays like Phenom that have these different layers of assets and processing and holdings in cutting edge companies around the world. So, just an updated thought on Phenom. I'm excited about it. And that's it for today, guys. Cheers.